Operation Epic Fury.
Breaking news this hour, Iran is making its most desperate and dangerous move yet. Intelligence reports confirm the terrorist regime is preparing to deploy up to 6,000 naval mines in the Strait of Hormuz. That's the narrow choke point where 20% of the world's oil flows every single day. Now, this is not just a military escalation, my friends. This is economic warfare against you, against your gas prices, against your family's budget. But here's what the fake news isn't telling you. President Trump saw this coming. And what he just did to Iran's mine-laying fleet, let's just say the mullahs are having a very, very bad week. Now, let me be crystal clear about what's happening here. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just some faraway place that doesn't affect you. It's your gas prices, your grocery bills, your heating costs. When Iran threatens those shipping lanes, they're threatening to send oil prices through the roof and crash the global economy. We're talking potential aviation disruptions, agricultural chaos, and supply chain nightmares that would make the Biden-era shortages look like a picnic. The UAE's largest refinery, processing nearly 1 million barrels a day, just got hit by an Iranian drone strike. Fires lighting up the night sky. That's how serious this is getting. But here's where it gets really interesting. While Iran desperately tries to choke the world's energy supply, President Trump's Operation Epic Fury is absolutely decimating their ability to follow through. Over 5,000 enemy targets struck. Iran's ballistic missiles down 90%. Their Navy combat ineffective. We're not just winning, we're dominating. Isn't that nice? And speaking of national security and American dominance, there is a critical story that's developing the mainstream media refuses to cover. But at Next News, we give it all to you. We've been tracking this story for months. The mainstream media doesn't want you to see this because as Iran destabilizes the Middle East, the federal government just made a move that could reshape America's security posture for generations. Now here's the truth. Our nuclear subs, our warheads, our next-gen power grid, all of it depends on uranium, and we import almost every single pound of it. It's not about energy independence. It's about survival. Because a nation that can't power its own military doesn't remain a superpower for long. That's why smart investors are looking at domestic uranium production right now. And Atomic Minerals, trading as ATMMF in the United States and ATOM in Canada, is positioning itself at the center of America's uranium future. When national security depends on a resource, you know you want to be secure. So check out the full briefing, link below. It's exclusive for Next News viewers. Now, let's get back to the absolute destruction President Trump is unleashing on the Iranian regime. Yes, here's what just happened that should terrify Tehran. President Trump himself announced that within the last few hours, American forces destroyed 10 Iranian mine-laying vessels, completely obliterated them. Yes, with more targets in their crosshairs. Think about that timing. Iran starts deploying mines, and with hours, Trump, his military, is hunting down and annihilating their mine-laying fleet. This is what real leadership looks like, my friends. This is what happens when America has a freaking commander-in-chief who doesn't apologize, doesn't hesitate, doesn't lose. So we're going to take a look at some of the sources, what they're revealing about the total domination of Operation Epic Fury. U.S. intelligence is seeing signs that Iran may be preparing to deploy naval mines and shipping lanes across the Strait of Hormuz. Officials say Iran could use small craft to place some an estimated 2,000 to 6,000 mines. That's according to CBS News. Here's the press secretary.
Secretary issued a waiver for India to get oil, Russian oils during this energy crisis.
Yes.
Have you spoken to President about it? What's the idea behind this?
Have I spoken to the president about it?
Yes.
Yes, I have spoken to the president about it. And the president and the Secretary of Treasury and the whole national security team came to this decision because our allies in India, as you know, Lalit, have been good actors and have previously stopped buying sanctioned Russian oil. So as we work to appease this temporary gap of oil supply around the world because of the Iranians, we have temporarily permitted them to accept that Russian oil. And this Russian oil was already at sea. It was already out on the water. So this short-term measure, we don't believe it will provide significant financial benefit to the Russian government at this time.
I have one more question.
So it looks like we are giving India the ability to to accept Russian oil. Iran's using civilians, though, as shields, but U.S. forces are striking back hard. We're going to see how they're tackling Iran's naval threats. CNN reporting Iranian proxies have begun laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. They say this is according to two people familiar with the matter. This legitimately feels like an attempt to further destabilize oil markets, which have shot back up. Here's
Some important breaking news, and that is that CNN is learning Iran has begun laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. This is according to two people familiar with the matter. It's another major complication as the world's top oil exporter warns there could be, quote, catastrophic consequences for oil markets if the conflict keeps disrupting ship and oil tanker traffic through the strait. He says beyond upending shipping and insurance, the ongoing disruption could snowball, threatening aviation, agriculture, and other industries. A short time ago, the White House repeated President Trump's promise to provide government-backed insurance as well as naval escorts to keep tankers moving. So far, those shipping companies are resisting traveling through the region while the fighting goes on. Let's talk about this now with CNN business editor-at-large, Richard Quest. He's also the anchor of Quest Means Business.
Let's not. U.S. military's relentless efforts are dismantling Iran's naval capabilities. Trump takes it further by boasting about recent attacks on these vessels. Take a look at this. The UAE's largest refinery shut down after a drone strike caused a fire at the Ruwais plant. The ADNOC facility processes 922,000 barrels of oil a day, making it one of the world's biggest refineries.
It's not 2003. This is not endless nation building under those types of quagmires we saw under Bush or Obama. It's not even close. Our generation of soldier will not let that happen again, and nor will this president, who very...
That was the Secretary of War reminding us this is not 2003. U.S. forces are degrading the Iranian regime's ability to project power at sea and harass international shipping. Look at some of this video from U.S. CENTCOM just decimating Iranian vessels in the open water, docked at port, waiting to be dispatched, one after another, gone. All of them. I mean, this footage is absolutely devastating. Imagine being in Iran. Imagine being a member of the Iranian Navy, or even if you're one of the mullahs, watching your entire fleet just go up. I mean, these are not small vessels. I mean, some of them are small, but some of them, holy cow, this footage is just unbelievable. Looks like a couple submarines just got hit right there. I mean, it looks like just you see the parts just flying everywhere. Gone, destroyed, one after another. President Trump, I'm pleased to report that within the last few hours we have hit and completely destroyed 10 inactive mine-laying boats and our ships, with more to follow. And then we have this from the White House.
President Trump shared with the American people last night, the United States military is making tremendous strides towards achieving our military objectives for Operation Epic Fury. 10 days in, this campaign has been a resounding success thus far, and America's warriors are winning this important fight at an even faster pace than we anticipated. More than 5,000 enemy targets have been struck so far. Iran's ballistic missile attacks are down more than 90%, and their drone attacks are down by approximately 85% since the start of Operation Epic Fury. The United States is also annihilating the Iranian regime's navy, and we have destroyed more than 50 Iranian naval vessels, including a major drone carrier ship. None of the regime's vessels are operating in major regional waterways, and the Iranian Navy has been assessed as combat ineffective. The trend is clear. U.S. combat capabilities are increasing and growing more lethal and dominant by the day, while the Iranian terrorist regime's ability to respond has rapidly declined. Now, the U.S. military is moving to dismantle Iran's missile production infrastructure. Our incredible B-2 bombers recently dropped dozens of 2,000-pound penetrator bombs on deeply buried missile sites.
The B-2s are in the air, and the regime of Iran is hiding in hospitals and schools in order to make them a target.
I think the most important thing Hegseth said, and all Americans need to know and understand this, the difference between us and the enemy We do not target civilians. When it happens, and it will happen in war, it is tragic and it is not meant to be. The enemy targets civilians. They hide behind civilians. They fund people who set up bases in hospitals so that civilians are in the way. That's not what we do. An investigation needs to occur. All the truth needs to be told. And we will give transparency to the American people. But there's two parts of this war, our part and the enemy. The enemy targets civilians. Look what they're doing all over the region,
but
firing
the story
missiles
doesn't
intermittently.
end.
Using civilians as shields. Absolutely shameless. The United States has asked Israel to stop attacking Iranian energy infrastructure, with Trump hoping to work with Iran's oil industry in post-conflict scenario. Look at some of these visuals coming out of the conflict zone. President Trump's successful campaign against Iran will drive down oil prices, says Senator Ted Cruz.
In terms of the oil prices, we've seen a temporary spike. I don't think it will be extended. Naturally, when you have military conflict in the Middle East, that predictably has an impact on oil prices. But I think over the long term, this will put downward pressure on oil prices. Having Iran led by a government that is not a terrorist organization at war with America will result in greater global supply. That'll benefit American consumers over time.
Over time. Give it time. So what you're witnessing right now is the difference between America and our enemies. It's a difference the left will never acknowledge. As Secretary Hegseth made absolutely clear, we do not target civilians. When tragedy happens in war, it's exactly that. It's tragic and unintentional. But Iran, they hide in hospitals, they set up bases in schools, they put women and children in the line of fire on purpose. That's who we're fighting. And that's why President Trump's Operation Epic Fury isn't just a military campaign, it's a moral victory for civilization itself. You heard Senator Ted Cruz. He nailed it. When this regime falls, when Iran is no longer run by terrorists at war with America, global oil supply increases, your gas prices go down, America wins, the world wins, and evil loses. So what we're witnessing here, we're watching unfold, is exactly what President Trump promised us. Decisive American leadership that puts our interests first and our enemies on notice. In just 10 days, Operation Epic Fury has achieved what the so-called experts said would take months. Iran's navy is shattered, their missiles are failing, their desperate mine-laying operation getting blown out of the water before it can even begin. This is what America First looks like in action. So share this video with everybody who needs to see what winning looks like under a real president. Now, text raw feed to 844-840-4963. There's a reason you're not getting notifications. There's a reason the algorithm doesn't serve our videos. Oh, we've been through this before. So we set this up just for you, so that you never miss a notification, a personal message from me to you from the raw feed system, from the Next News Network. So text raw feed to 844-840-4963 and drop a comment. Tell me, do you think Iran's regime will survive another month of Trump's pressure, yes or no? And don't forget to check out the Next News merch shelf below this video and show the world where you stand. I'm Gary Franchi. You've been watching the Next News Network. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power. I want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.